Hi, welcome to Addictionary, where we help people transform their addictions. I just want to speak about something that I've noticed with a few clients lately and also friends. And there's something that happens like when we come out of a relationship or we grieve relationships. And what I've noticed happening quite a lot of the time is we're actually not grieving the essence of the relationship itself, because quite often we're getting out of this relationship because it wasn't so good, it wasn't so healthy. But the thing we seem to grieve is the ideal of the relationship. So the painful thing, the painful part is actually the loss, the grief, the loss of this ideal that we thought was going to be, or the possibility of what this relationship could be. And I was chatting with a friend yesterday who's going through a difficult time, and as we, as well as she acknowledged that, the relationship was nothing like she wanted to be, and she actually recognized also that the signs were there right from the beginning, and this is quite common as well, which I hear from a lot of clients and also experience myself, that although the signs are there right from the beginning, we tend not to listen to those, and we brush them off as not being important, or they don't really matter because it's so good to be in a relationship. So we kind of brush aside the things that are really important to us and having our needs met. And then as we go through this relationship that where we're not having our needs met, and we don't feel like we're being heard, we're not being met, we're not being valued, we're not being understood in the way that we want to be, the perception is, oh look, we can change that, it'll happen. And we hear sometimes false promises, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes intentionally. But I think we get stuck in that ideal, and we get addicted to the idea that maybe this could be what we want it to be. If this person could just change that, if they could change that, if I can get them to change that, if I can change this, then they might change that. And it becomes this, this perception of what it can be in the future. And I think that's what we get addicted to, and that's what we get hooked on. And then we separate, when we go through the pain of the separation, I think a lot of the pain that we're experiencing is the pain of what could have been, not the pain of what actually was. Because when we stop and look at the pain of what actually was, sometimes it's like, wow, the pain of what was a lot more difficult being in that than letting go of the pain of what could have been. So there's a term that I use, like short-term pain for long-term gain, or long-term pain for short-term gain. So what that means is there's a lot of people who will stay in relationships to avoid the pain, that short-term pain of leaving the relationship. But what we end up experiencing is long-term pain. So the long-term pain of being in this place where we don't feel happy or we don't feel met, in order to avoid that short-term pain. Or there's short-term pain for long-term gain. So the short-term pain of leaving, of experiencing that challenge, that rejection, that heartache, the grief, the broken heart and all that, for a short time. But then for the long-term gain of actually discovering ourselves again and discovering our own happiness and our own wants and desires and needs, and moving on to something where we can actually have that in a better way. So maybe a really good time to stop and question, in my life, are things the way I want them to be? Like, really? And it doesn't mean we get to have everything that we want, but I think it's absolutely possible to, to at least express that and talk about that in a healthy way, and negotiate ways in which we can have pretty much mostly what we want. Why not? Everything, what else is possible, yeah? Everything's a thought, everything's a possibility. Why not have it the way we want it? So I think it boils down to communication again. Totally open communication every single step of the way. If I'm not happy, then I need to communicate that. If I don't feel like my needs are being met, I need to communicate that. Not with an expectation of having it met, but at least communicate it in a way that I need to let this person know that this is important to me. And if I can't have it in this way, how can I have it? Is there another way in which I can receive that? Is it really even that important to me? Sometimes only through expressing it will I get to find that out. So honesty, communication, and also recognizing that things that are important to me for a reason, not to brush them aside. And if you're not having that in your relationship, it's absolutely important and imperative, to work that out. Otherwise you develop resentment for yourself, for the other person, for the relationship itself. We get lost and stuck in relationships. It doesn't have to be that way. We can have, do, be whatever we want to be, whatever we want to have. So I hope you found this interesting. Have an amazing day. Coming to you from beautiful Bali again. I was thinking the other day, I wasn't having such a good day, but at least I'm, on my worst day here, I'm having my worst day in paradise. Can't get much better than that. Enjoy. Bye.